The rapper Pooh Shiesty was just caught openly violating the terms of his supervised release during a live stream, and the entire incident, including a phone call from his parole officer, was recorded for federal authorities to see.
Hello?
Yeah, you there?
Trey Williams, yeah, I'm at the house. You said what? Yes, I am. Yes, I am, man. Check it a good. I ain't lying to you. I ain't playing no game.
You can mute the joint right now, Tony.
I don't want to play like that.
Though he attempted to conceal the violation, it was already documented. This kind of mistake could easily send him straight back to federal prison. Seriously. I'm going to explain exactly how this happened, what the violation entails, and whether the feds are preparing to lock him back up. Get ready, because the details of this situation are absolutely insane. So here's the breakdown. Pooh Shiesty was live streaming with Bendadon, just interacting with his fans and keeping it real, as he usually does. Everything was routine until his phone rang. Initially, no one thought twice about it. Rappers constantly take calls during streams. However, this was no ordinary call. It was his parole officer checking in. This is where things went wild. The parole officer told Pooh Shiesty she could see he was live and was calling because he was past his curfew. She needed him to confirm he was home at his designated residence as required. And what did Pooh Shiesty do? He flat out lied to his PO, telling her,
Yeah, you there?
Trey Williams, yeah, I'm at the house.
The reason everyone is talking about this, though, is that the live stream showed a completely different scene. The camera clearly wasn't pointed at his home. They were visibly somewhere else entirely. Once the cameraman realized what was going on, he tried to move the camera and mute the audio, as instructed by Pooh Shiesty. But by then, it was genuinely too late. The damage was irreversible. Everything Pooh Shiesty said to his parole officer was captured on video, providing clear evidence of him lying to federal officials about his location during a curfew check. This type of violation is more than enough to land him back in prison without appeal. Let me emphasize just how serious this is. Pooh Shiesty is not on standard state probation. He is on federal supervised release after serving 4 years in federal prison. When you are dealing with the feds, they do not treat violations lightly the way state authorities sometimes might. They will revoke your release and send you back to complete your original sentence without a second thought. The federal authorities have been closely monitoring Pooh Shiesty since his early release. There has been speculation about how he managed to shave over a year off his sentence. Some suggest cooperation, others claim it was through the First Step Act. Regardless of the reason, federal law enforcement is watching his every move, waiting for him to slip up. And guess what? He just handed them the exact evidence they needed. A clear, recorded violation of his supervised release conditions, filmed for the entire world to see. This isn't a he said, she said situation requiring witnesses or a prolonged investigation. The proof is undeniably in the video. Now, let me clarify something many people misunderstand about Pooh Shiesty's current status. He is currently residing in a halfway house in Dallas, Texas, which means he is still technically under federal custody. He is not fully free, despite public perception. Halfway houses are transitional facilities where federal inmates spend the final phase of their sentence before gaining complete freedom. These facilities enforce strict rules, and the curfew is among the most critical. Residents must be back at the facility by a specific time nightly, and are subject to random checks to ensure compliance. When his parole officer called during the stream, she was performing her duty, verifying his location during curfew hours. But instead of being at the halfway house as required, Pooh Shiesty was out somewhere else, streaming with Bendadon. When confronted, he chose to lie instead of admitting he was breaking curfew. That is a dual violation, being out past curfew and lying to federal authorities about it. The craziest part is that they did go home after the phone call, but that action does nothing to reverse the damage. The violation had already occurred and was documented on video. Returning home afterward does not erase the evidence of the initial violation. This stream incident is not an isolated event. Since Pooh Shiesty returned home from federal prison, he has been acting carelessly, in ways that suggest he has little concern about being sent back. We are talking about someone who spent 4 years incarcerated in a federal prison, gained an early release, and immediately began acting as if he learned absolutely nothing from the experience. He has been posting videos of himself drinking and driving, speeding without a valid license, and generally behaving in ways that violate the terms of his supervised release. And now we have this streaming incident where he is caught lying to his parole officer about his location during a curfew check. It appears Pooh Shiesty is actively trying to provoke a violation and return to prison. There is no other logical explanation for this level of recklessness. You don't survive 4 years in federal prison only to return home and immediately start breaking the rules that keep you free. Federal authorities have multiple reasons why they would be eager to see Pooh Shiesty returned to prison. First, there is the lingering dispute over how he managed to secure early release in the first place, with claims ranging from cooperation to First Step Act credits. The questions surrounding his early release remain unanswered. Second, Pooh Shiesty represents the kind of high-profile case the feds like to use as an example. He is a prominent rapper convicted of serious federal crimes, and his conduct since his release makes him look unrehabilitated. The feds can use his situation to argue, "See, this is why we must be tougher on supervised release violations." Third, every violation Pooh Shiesty commits while under supervision makes the federal system look incompetent. They released him early, and now he is acting as if the rules don't apply, which is embarrassing for the authorities who approved his release. They need to demonstrate that there are firm consequences for violating supervised release terms. What is truly alarming about Pooh Shiesty's actions is that they demonstrate a complete disregard for the consequences, a crash-out mentality. He is moving like he doesn't care about the results of his actions, as if going back to prison is insignificant to him. Perhaps 4 years in federal prison caused some mental damage. Maybe he returned home feeling he had already lost the best years of his life, so what difference would a few more years behind bars make? Or perhaps he is trying to prove something to the streets, demonstrating that he is unafraid of returning to prison. Whatever the motive, the outcome is the same. Pooh Shiesty is acting like someone prepared to throw away his freedom, ready to return to federal custody, and this streaming incident might be the violation that finally sends him back. From a legal standpoint, the events of that live stream are extremely detrimental to Pooh Shiesty's case. Federal prosecutors now possess video evidence proving he violated his curfew and lied to his parole officer about it. That accounts for 2 distinct violations, either of which could be enough to revoke his supervised release. When someone on federal supervised release violates the terms, they don't receive a mere warning. They are sent back to prison to complete their original sentence. In Pooh Shiesty's case, this could mean returning to federal prison until his original release date, which was scheduled for some time in 2026. The video evidence makes fighting this case nearly impossible. His lawyer cannot argue that he was home during curfew when a video shows otherwise, nor can they claim he didn't lie to his parole officer when his precise words are recorded. The evidence is clear and irrefutable. Beyond the legal ramifications, this incident is also damaging Pooh Shiesty's professional career. What record label would risk investing in an artist who is actively violating the terms of his supervised release? What promoter would book someone who could be back in prison next month? Before his incarceration, Pooh Shiesty had significant momentum. He was one of the industry's most promising young rappers, signed to Gucci Mane's label, and releasing hit songs. Now his reckless behavior is turning him into an industry liability. No one wants to conduct business with someone who poses such a risk. The most tragic aspect of this entire situation is that it represents a completely wasted chance. Pooh Shiesty was granted an early release from federal prison, a rare opportunity. He had the chance to rebuild his life and career, to show he had learned from his mistakes and was ready to choose a different path. Instead, he chose to act carelessly, to believe the rules didn't apply to him, and to lie to federal authorities on a live stream for the world to witness. He is throwing away a second chance that most people never receive. So, what happens next? Federal authorities now have concrete evidence of Pooh Shiesty violating his supervised release. They can use this video to file a violation report and have him taken back into custody. The typical process involves the parole officer filing a report documenting the violation, a warrant being issued for his arrest, and him being brought before a federal judge for a violation hearing. Given the explicit evidence in this case, it is difficult to imagine how Pooh Shiesty will avoid returning to federal prison. The video shows him breaking curfew and lying to his parole officer, precisely the behavior that leads to supervised release being revoked. On a broader level, this whole scenario is a cautionary lesson that extends beyond just Pooh Shiesty. It illustrates what occurs when people fail to learn from their mistakes, when they believe they can outsmart the system, and when they choose reckless behavior over smart decisions. Pooh Shiesty had everything to gain by adhering to the rules of his supervised release, and everything to lose by violating them. Yet, he chose to act like someone indifferent to the consequences, and now, he will likely pay the price. Ultimately, Pooh Shiesty was caught on camera violating his parole. There is no way to present this situation in a favorable light. The evidence is clear, the violation is documented, and the consequences will likely be severe. This is the inevitable outcome when you disrespect the very system that grants you a second opportunity. Pooh Shiesty returned home from federal prison and acted as if 4 years behind bars taught him nothing. Now, he will probably find himself right back where he started, serving out the remainder of his original sentence in federal custody. What are your thoughts on this situation? Leave your comments below and tell me if you think Pooh Shiesty will be violated and sent back to prison. Because from my perspective, it looks like he just recklessly exposed himself on a live stream, and the feds have all the evidence they need to put him right back behind bars.